and welcome to this week of Twirl Talk Tuesday. So this week we are talking about social media and the athlete. And it's kind of about like, what is your like worth or your post or anything like that. And I know that this can be a confusing world for everyone. It can be confusing for the people that are participating. It can be confusing for the parents that are trying to figure it out. And so we got some panelists tonight that kind of know what's going on with it and try to guide everybody along the way. It's always evolving. It's always changing. I mean, when we look at a year ago, did we use the online world as much as we're using it right now? So I want to introduce our panelists for tonight. And I'm really thankful that they could join us because I know everybody's time is in great demand. So I just want to thank them. So our first panelist is Carissa Wimberly. And Carissa, of course, is known for her championship qualities in what she's done in twirling and in the color guard world and as an educator. And I just think she's a really valuable voice because she's been pure fun in what she tries to put out there. And along with being educational, it's fun and it's just entertaining to watch and is a really good voice for the twirling and the guard world. The next panelist that we brought on is Savannah Miller, another national and international champion in her own right, and also just graduated from college in broadcasting and journalism. And journalism too, Savannah?
Yes.
Okay, and so she is kind of the voice of the professional world in it while combining what's happening in the twirling world. Next is Shaylee Fawcett, and if you know only twirlers, you know Shaylee. And so Shaylee was one of the first organization type places to put out a platform for twirlers. And I know that I've watched what she's done with the college twirlers when they have game day takeovers and some of the other things that have happened that have really promoted the sport. And that's been really fun. That's kind of been the fun of this Twirl Talks it's not been organization centric, it's just been activity centric and all about the people in it and the concerns of the people in it. So that's what I've been trying to do, whether or not it's reached many people or not. It's been fun to do. And then the final person, which is really a gift for us to have, is Kelly Jones. And Kelly grew up as one of my first students and grew up in the twirling world and as a coach and a judge. And then she became mom to a person who has 6 million followers. So Jordan Jones, her daughter, is one of the first to really be able to make use of the social media platform in her rise to stardom. So starting as a baby twirler and then going to competitive dance and then going from there into online television shows and videos and music and dance and modeling and all of that. I mean, I don't even know what 6 million looks like. So she's always had some strong opinions and thoughts about how the social media world could be driven and influenced positively and negatively from just her experience in what works and what doesn't with Jordan and what happens with her career. So thank you for joining us, everyone who came on tonight, and especially the panelists. So Carissa, do you want to start, please, about how social media has kind of evolved for you and what's your goal? What's your goal in the social media world?
So social media has definitely evolved in starting with Facebook and then getting acquainted with Twitter and Instagram and then new to TikTok and just each platform has its own fun thing. But I think my goal that I've learned kind of as I was learning the college lessons of what do you post and what do you not post when you've got little kids looking up to you when you just won Miss Major out of America. And so then, there was a lesson I remember, story I'm not going to tell, Halloween, my dad, long talks. And from that moment on, I just learned there are certain things that you just keep in your phone or in your private collection. And that's where that stays. And I think that was a really important lesson that I learned pretty early on. And I think that it just taught me, I try to use social media, as you guys can see, in a fun way. The thing I always promote is play baton. And it's become just something that people say now. It's not a weird saying. People are like, yeah, I'm going to go play baton. And that's what I wanted it to be. Like, I'm going to go play basketball. I'm going to go play football. Well, I'm going to go play baton. And now that people say it, and I love that, and it makes me so happy. And I've just always tried to promote, remember why you twirl, remember why you started. It's fun. You need to play with it, enjoy it. So I always try to just promote that playful side of it, and that there's always time to play and connect with what you love, and it doesn't always have to be so serious, even in your most intense times. And I've just tried to promote the positive. I think one of the things I mentioned to them earlier is that I just try to keep my social media life happy and positive, and I try not to share the negative feelings and thoughts that I have. So I just try to keep it a happy place, and so people know the happy side of me.
That's wonderful. And I think you're really successful at that. Shaylee, when you started Only Twirlers, is that the first thing that you did, or what led up to Only Twirlers, and what is your goal with that?
Yeah, so Only Twirlers started as a Twitter account, actually. I started it when I was still competing, kind of towards the end of my twirling career, and it was just kind of a funny place for me to say things like, only twirlers know that you go through more bobby pins than anybody else, and things like that. And it just started to really catch on, and the platform just continued to grow. So as more social media platforms became more popular is kind of when it transitioned over to Instagram, where there was more content to share there, and where it transferred over to Facebook, and then eventually into the brand and apparel company that it is today. So my original goal is just to share some great things that are happening in the twirling world. There's so many viral accounts and Instagram and Twitter accounts, surrounding famous dancers and gymnasts and cheerleaders that just, showcase cool things that those people are doing, and they have hundreds of thousands of followers. And it always just boggled my mind why twirling didn't have that same reach for people. So that's kind of the idea behind Only Twirlers. I really want to get up to 10,000 so we can get the swipe up on our stories, but I just want to keep it going because there's so much good happening with every new generation of twirlers. They're pushing the limits, things are changing, and kind of have that unified voice to be able to get messages out to the twirling community is a cool platform and brand to have.
Well, I think what you said is exactly right, a unified voice. And I love the way that it's all encompassing. And I love that sometimes the athletes in the membership are ahead of administration in that, we were at a competition this summer and there were some things going on. And I looked and I said, guess what? These kids just want to twirl. They don't care about several things. All they want to do is twirl. And I think that there's been a lot of situations in most of these people tonight where you're really embracing that that's what that is. So thank you, Shaylee. Savannah, you come at it with a little different approach, maybe, I'm not sure, but how do you work in the social media world and where do you find its significance?
Well, I kind of have a different background coming from a broadcast journalism perspective. So when I got to college, I didn't really have like the biggest following going into college on social media. And as soon as I got into the journalism program, I really found out a lot about what makes digital media work for certain people and how you can use it to not only use it as a news outlet, but use it as whatever you want to make it, whether that's twirling, dance, whatever sport that you're involved with. And so I kind of took those tools and having different social media internships and really learning the analytics side of how social media works so that to my advantage. And then just with the college experience in general, you kind of create that following on game day, just posting about it. And with Shaylee's help about Only Twirlers and having that involvement, that really impacted my own social media. And then in addition to that, when I was in college, I was the news director at my station. And so my goal was to not only take the digital media lessons I had learned in the classroom, but really transition that to help other students create their own brand. And so that really allowed me to really grow in my own personal social media as well. And so really just trying new things, and sometimes they failed and sometimes they worked, but it was all a learning experience for me. And so that's kind of where the motivation has come from, is more that journalism side and not so much just what's trending on social media right now, because I wouldn't be here if it hadn't been for journalism. And so that has really impacted not only my twirling career, but also my journalism career as well. I mean, I'm getting job offers that are now social media influenced. And I never thought that I would be working in the social media industry like I am now.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine anybody's grandmas? Can you imagine anybody's grandmas, you know, like 20 years ago, if you told them, by the way, I'm going to get this job someday? Like, no one would believe that this existed. So I'm so excited about this group of panelists because this naturally evolves to the next person who is momager to a person who makes her living in this world. So Kelly, I know you have lots of thoughts and opinions about some of the things that are going on. So tell us about, gosh, I don't even know where to start for you, but so let's talk about it in terms of twirling and how you feel the social media world can impact the sport and the athlete. Like, what can they be doing right now? That's a pretty large question. We don't have time to cover all of it, but cover a snippet of it.
Okay, first I have a question for Carissa. Hi guys, hi everybody. I think that it was you that came up with the routine this year for the International Twirl Day, right?
I only helped teach it. So she
Okay.
World Baton
asked
Twirling Day.
people from other countries, and I just helped break it down, and I taught the different 8 counts to help make it more understandable.
Okay. Because in the past, I don't think that it was a great representation online. I'm sorry, but you know what I'm talking about, Kyle. It was like, I mean, it was great for like the little kids, but I always look at everything like the end result. And what is the end result for baton twirling? What is it?
Yep, it's going to the Olympics. We all say it.
Okay. But it's not going to unless everyone stops posting and making like the dude in the silver that was in the parade
Right.
go viral.
Yeah.
I mean, you absolutely cannot post that kind of content because your friends, people that have no idea what twirling is about, that's what they see.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say, oh, I'm a twirling coach, you know, the first thing that they would think of is the guy in the silver, you know,
Right.
or
And so I think it's crucial because from us, a humanitarian sense of community standpoint, there's a side of us that know better that can go, oh my gosh, this guy's great. He's loving what
Yeah.
he does. However, you're in the business of it and you know the end goal. So I think that that's valuable to hear about the difference between what's entertaining versus what promotes the activity.
right. Another thing is when Jordan is hired by a company, a brand, and she has to produce a video, there's all these rules and guidelines, and everything has to be spot on, or she has to keep redoing it. Like, it's like you can't put out something that is just okay. You have to put out the greatest part of you that you can put out.
And
so
do you
that,
think,
I
Kelly,
think, is what twirling needs to become is, you know, you can show all day how hard you're working on a trick, on a trick, on a trick. No one cares. You know, and no one cares on how hard Babe Ruth worked. They just want to see that end result. So don't show the exhaustion. I mean, save that for your documentary or your autobiography, whatever. Show the best that you have, even if it takes 15 times to get it right. That's what you want to put out there. That's what you want the world to see, the people that don't understand twirling.
I think that that's really valuable, Kelly, because I think sometimes twirlers look at only their audiences only within our own given community. And
yes,
so,
and it can be so much bigger than that.
And that's what, like, we laughed at, like, twirlers twirl for other twirlers. And it's
Right.
not until Eleni is shown in her world championship video and a Savannah was shown in hers in the last couple of years that I was jumping up and down screaming about how we had to maximize this moment, because the competition out there isn't other twirlers. The competition for attention and likes and exposure are all the other activities. So, you know, you could do it for fun. You can do it just for in our own community. But I love how you have the bigger picture of wanting to do it for the more global community. So that's one entire topic to itself. And I think
Right.
you have really obviously valuable input on that. So when we talk about content and the place of being positioned in social media, it feels like there are some athletes and there are some parents who feel like having a social media presence is important. So, Carissa, I want you to start first as far as how do you think a social media placement has any effect on the competitive placement in the world? Do you think that those two are related?
No, those things aren't related. I think that they're two different places, honestly. I mean, how many of our judges do you think really have an Instagram or a TikTok? You know, like that's when I hear people complain about that or say, you know, like, oh, they're just promoting themselves. Like, I'm not even going to say any names, but like, do you think Blibbity Blob really has an Instagram and is looking at all the self-promoting that this person is doing? Like, no. Like, they're two different things. You know, like, I use social media for fun and to connect with people, and it's brought me some really awesome teaching jobs. And, you know, there's so many different things that it's done for me, but it never affected the way that I placed on the floor. That just comes from working really hard. And, you know, like Kelly said, don't be afraid to do something over and over and over again. You got to put in, just like you would have to put in for social media to get that greatest take. Like, you've got to put in the repetition. You have to put in the work to get what you want on the floor. You got to work your butt off. And if you want to be Dana Miller, then you got to go practice really freaking hard, because your practice is really freaking hard. Like, that's just the way it is. You got to work hard.
Well, and don't you think, like, isn't case in point Silver Jumpsuit Guy? Isn't he more viral than anybody in the activity? And that goes to show, like, don't we think that some of these viral moments are exactly that? It's just this moment that all these things come together to create the exposure. Yeah, Kelly. All right, Kelly, go ahead.
I think that guy, you know what, living his life, right? Living his dream, living his best life. That's great. And you know what? If I, at 53, well, how old am I? 53 years old, could get out in front of a parade and pull something like that off right now with a busted up hip, then great. But don't film me. And you know what? I bet you, I didn't share it. I did not share that video, but I bet a lot of us did. And you know what? That just made twirling as a whole and the oh, what word am I looking for? I'm bad at words. The strive to reach that end goal, that just like brought everybody back down a couple of years.
You know what else did? Miss Congeniality, instant fire moment. Oh my god.
Oh, you twirl? Oh, like a Miss Congeniality?
That's why maximize.
So magically ignite. That's what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Shaylee, I think a good point with us talking about competition in social media, when you're putting content on Only Twirlers, are you looking at the wins? Are you looking at, like, what's important to you to provide content for Only Twirlers?
Yeah, there's quite a few things that go into it. One, I think it kind of plays along with what we were saying before, is I understand the responsibility that I have with a platform that reaches so many people and wanting to. I also want to be inclusive too. I don't want to try to just post the same people all the time. And, you know, I have these cute little girls that are in novice 7 to 9 sending me these really off pattern tosses, and they just really want to be posted on the page. And, you know, trying to find like ways to showcase a lot of the things that I'm sent, but keeping the integrity of the brand and of twirling in general is important. You know, there's a video on there of Ella McDaniel. It has over 400,000 views on it. And so, you know, the platform has that opportunity to reach so many people. When you're posting in general, whether it's on, you know, a brand platform like Only Twirlers or your personal platform as well.
Well, and I think what your statement about the integrity of the platform is really valuable too. That having a consistent message and knowing who your audience is, and and it's being smart about your audience and what's out there. So Savannah, tell us the same thing from a competitive standpoint. Did you divide the two worlds?
Yeah, you know, sometimes it can be really hard to divide the two worlds, and that's something that I learned in college, and kind of creating that platform. I mean, being at an SEC school and other twirlers who are at huge universities, you kind of have to find that balance of, okay, what am I going to post and what am I not going to post? What is more collegiate? What is more competition? And so once you kind of get into that cycle, you kind of become addicted to it a little bit. And that's what I kind of found the first couple of years at Arkansas was like, okay, well, now I have to post this. Now I have to post this. And so it's learning to really, like I said, create that balance of, okay, well, I'm a representative of my university. I'm here to represent the Razorbacks, not only on the football field, but on campus and on social media. And so I had to find that right balance between more personal life and making sure, like Chris has mentioned, she kind of had that experience early on and learning that life lesson of, okay, what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. And so finding that balance between personal and collegiate was definitely something that took me a while to find. And then it kind of just becomes a part of you. Like, I know when I need to post this video for the Razorbacks and when I can be more myself and show more my fun side. And so that's where you kind of get to have that more personality and make it your own along the way. And then when it came to competition season, I feel like I was in the gym so much training that I never really had time to worry about social media. I know it is a big part of our world right now, but I honestly forgot. Like, I don't even look at my phone during competitions. So that's something that I struggle with is like, okay, well, I need to remember that I still have young followers and young athletes looking at what I'm doing. So I have to remind myself, okay, just do a post at the end of the week. Or just check in every once in a while. But it's definitely creating that schedule just like any other part of your life. I mean, whether that's balancing school, twirling, being in a sorority, whatever you're doing, you still have to be mindful and intentional, I think is the biggest thing with what you're posting. I mean, you have no idea who's following you. It could be future employers. It could be a little girl who just picked up a baton. And so making sure that each post that you make is so intentional and it has a message and just really shows who you are is so important to this whole brand and experience of social media for sure.
Well, I think that one faux pas, you know, as a college instructor, I have to look at people's social media account, and I'm the ultimate stalker. I am the queen of being able to, you know, find things. And at the university, I have to. And so if there's anything negative out there, I can't put them in the leadership position. And I think it could be a little flippant of the younger generation to not understand the long-term ramifications of, because it's such a part of their everyday life. The camera's going every second. We're always posting things. And, you know, when you're posting a Snapchat photo, and are you even paying attention to who screenshotted it? Right. And so those are things that like parents and grandparents and instructors don't always realize, the lingo, the terminology, the action, the like how these things work. And believe me, I get teased nonstop by my peer group about my social media activity. And it's like, it's because this is part of my world. This is what I have to pay attention to. And I think if parents are not paying attention, their child could be falling down a rabbit hole. So Kelly, did Jordan have any faux pas? And are there things you've had to actually stop as the mom and had to adjust?
Yeah, you know what, the older that she got, you know, she was wanting to show a little cleavage here and there. She was wanting to show a little butt cheek here and there. You know, you have to pick and choose your battles. You know, I sometimes forget that she is 20. You know, she's an adult, but always in the back of my head and hers is the fact that she has a very diverse audience. And it's anywhere from 13-year-olds to old men who are just on there creeping you.
Right.
You know? So yeah, you know what? It's always has to be a thought process on whether or not to post. You know, because brands see that, her managers see that, her agency, her lawyer, you know, are those the kind of people that, you know, want to see her butt cheek? No, I don't think so.
Right.
Well,
When
I think that's
brands
good.
are constantly looking at that.
It's really good advice even for the athletes on here then to look at the consequences of what you're putting out there. So Shaylee, have you had to censor at any point in time what people send you, what works, what doesn't, and how do you draw the line on what's appropriate for only twirlers and what's not?
Yeah, I think where I've run into this the most is probably with TikTok recently. The language and the music on TikTok can be rough. You know, people don't even realize time, and that just does not fly with me. Like, I don't care who it is. I'm not going to post it. It's just not, it's not worth it. It's a high risk, low reward situation. And, you know, a lot of the times I'll just ask like, hey, this video is great. Can you change out the music to the clean version? Some things like that. So, you know, as a person, I'm just kind of conservative, and I think just kind of using that as a guideline, it's not going to get me in any trouble, erring on the side of caution.
Right. I think that is a great rule of thumb. Erring on the side of caution. I think it would be much better to be more careful than it is to be more outrageous. So Carissa, how do you, and you're a person who works with a lot of kids and you work with high school, what do you put as the advice for those that you work with and your own, like, you know, you mentioned before, you make your own mistake and then learn from it. So how do you help your students with that?
I think one of the things that Kelly said was the easiest. It's the easiest way to figure out what to post and what to not post. Would you want, you know, she went through this list of, would you want your lawyer to see this, or you know, my dad was like, would you want your grandpa to see this? Would you want your grandma to see this? Would you want your mom to see? And immediately, no. And you know, you can go through that list as fast as that. And I've had some own personal experiences lately, and just with some other social media accounts, and you know, sometimes people will post something to hurt you or to get at you, and you can. It's so temporary, and I think that's one thing that people get very worked up about social media, but it has long-lasting qualities, but it also has temporary qualities. And so when you go to post something, if if it means that much to you that you want to post that picture at that moment, you know, like, it's really probably going to have a 24-hour cycle. And then most people aren't going to remember it except for you. And unless it's something damaging, yeah, people can go back and scroll and screenshot it. But there's two sides to social media. And I think that it's important to remember, just as far as somebody else's social media, you know, like, if it gets you worked up that this person posted that, or they said that, or, you know, it's going to have a 24-hour cycle, and then it's done, it's gone, you know, maybe a week at most. And then it's out of the social media cycle air, and it's forgotten. It's four scrolls away, you know. Like, I think it's important to remember that things have permanent effects, but also if things get under your skin, like, just block them. Don't look at it. You don't even see it.
100%. Put the fingers away.
Right. You don't even have to unfriend them if you're worried about it. You can personalize your stuff that you don't see that person's stuff for 60 days. Like, I do that a lot.
Yeah. You know what? I had to do it with a student's parent, because there was a competitor that drove them so crazy. And, you know, because everyone's putting stuff out there all the time. And of course they're putting their best stuff out there. Like, at the point that you are so competitive with the image of who this person is, then you need to stop. You need to just step away, because there are at least 6 people in placement between you and that other person. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot more to worry about than that one person who's out there. So, right. You know, it's just advice that you wish you could give everyone. And the biggest advice for myself, because I'm a big writer, I love writing things, and put the fingers away. Just like, sometimes just no response is the best response, you know, and you can't fight some of it. So Savannah, same thing. So what is your rule of thumb with reaction versus quality content? Anything else like that?
Yeah, so I definitely have a very news mind when it comes to social media, and that you really don't want to feed to the fire that's going on. And going back to that image and that brand that you're creating yourself, you're going to get a bad rap if you're going to argue with someone over Facebook about something. It's not worth it. At the end of the day, it is not worth it at all. And that's something that I have to remind myself sometimes. I mean, yeah, have there been posts or comments that I'm like, oh my gosh, like what the heck? And I get frustrated about it. And then I'm like, Savannah, it's just social media. It's just social media. And so you have to move on and keep going on with your life. And like Carissa said, you just block it out. And you can make that decision yourself, just like she said. And so that's kind of my rule of thumb is like, okay, if I see something I don't like, all right, well, I'm just going to keep on scrolling because I don't have time to worry about somebody else's problems when I have a million other things on my plate that I need to be worried about. And so also with that too, coming from that news aspect, like I was talking about, there's no good that's going to come out of it. I mean, people are going to say what they're going to say. And so if you're representing a company or you're representing yourself, you never want to give that negative aspect back to them and argue with them and then give yourself a bad rap on top of that. So it's really not worth it. And I just kind of keep on going and move on with my life.
Well, again, it's great to have Kelly on this because, first of all, Kelly's much better at this than I am. As the godmama, when things first started popping with Jordan, I would read comments and I couldn't even stand it until I finally learned that I had to not read comments. So Kelly, you're the master at this. And with 6 million followers, there's every spam, every creeper, everything out there after your daughter. What do?
You 100% ignore it. So in the beginning, as her following started growing, she would read comments. She would come to me and she said, look what they said about me. I'm like, Jordan, you know that's not true. It took a couple years really of getting her to understand that some troll online does not define who she is. As long as she knows her own truth, then we're good. So whenever she gets a negative comment, she looks at it like from a brand now standpoint, she might get 200,000-300,000 likes on Instagram, on an Instagram post or something, and maybe like 3,000 comments. But now in her mind, she's like, thanks for the comment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't know who's sitting behind that keyboard. So let it go. Don't let it define you at all.
Well, I think that we would, at Twirling, we need to like appreciate the fact that we just want the audience and we want the people to have the opportunity to either love it or hate it. Because right now our audience is pretty closed. And so let's create the venue so that we can we have hundreds of thousands of people that get to either love it or hate it. Yeah, Kelly again.
I think that.
Okay, the only way that the twirling is going to expand, unfold, is if people are careful of what they post. And I'm sorry to say that, but you can't put out bad technique, off-pattern twirling. You know, I'm sorry, you just absolutely cannot do that. If you're trying to draw the attention of the world and actually get this to be an Olympic sport, because it will not happen. You didn't see Simone Biles falling off the balance beam, you know, or falling on her double back handspring. I don't know. You just didn't see that process. What we all saw was the end result and her kicking ass at the Olympics, right? So
it's curating. It's about curating the content.
Yeah, just you have to be careful because you know what? Anybody that I would ask, oh, you were the majorette for Portage Northern High School? And I'm like, no, I really wasn't the majorette. I was the twirler. People still in their minds think of the fringe and high white boots.
Right.
You know, whenever the outside world that has no idea, that's what they envision. You have to work to change that.
Yeah.
And you know what? No, I have to say this. I really have to say this, and this is going to be so bad.
Remember this gets recorded and posted.
I know. I know.
Okay.
I know, but I have to say this. And you know what? I have so much respect for the sport that has given me such an amazing foundation for not only my life, but for Jordan, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, Carissa, you're on the 100% right track with what you're doing.
Thank you.
And I just broke 2 nails. I went to Indiana and had my nails done. Thanks to your, like, one of your episodes, I freaking broke 2 nails. But you know what? I get what you're saying about how you titled your episodes, or your content, but I just don't feel like play is the right word. I think that's going to be something that sticks, and I'm not so sure that you want that to be what sticks.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it does convey the fun aspect. And so I think that from an exposure standpoint, it's definitely done the right thing.
From 100%.
People like,
do you see me?
This isn't about practice tonight. This is about, like, let's just go play with it. So yeah, I get that. And so
I get where she's coming from. You say, I'm going to go play volleyball. I'm going to go play golf. I'm going to go play baseball. But you don't say, I'm going to go play gymnastics.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that come up with something like totally different. And I think you single-handedly could, like, change this.
Well, we've got the new brand. We've got, look at the branding committee right here. Well, I'm going to open, let's go ahead and open it up, because I know that a lot of people have a lot of questions. And this is just really interesting territory to navigate, because first of all, it's ever evolving. Secondly, anyone can do it. So can anyone do it well? Can anyone, what do we want from our youth as far as promotion of the activity? And for me, I looked like from Jordan from day one. I've always told her from day one, keep your craft, which was dance. And that no matter what, if you were gone tomorrow from Instagram and Facebook and everything else, you'd still be a dancer. And you just work your craft. And whatever happens along the way is a bonus. Now, for her, it's a job now. So for some of our athletes just getting out there and getting known, you have a panel right now of really great people to ask questions to and to help guide you in what you want to do. If you want to just have fun, but you got to be aware of the consequences of both good and bad. What if it blows up and it becomes a career you don't want? Or what if it blows up in some post you didn't think about? So is there anyone right now? I can see you in the gallery view with a Cindy Higgerson. She has a question.
I do. I have 2 questions, and these are for the athletes. When did you go to social media, and did your parents have your permission to go to social media?
Savannah, you want to start?
Yeah, I can start. Oh my gosh, I don't even remember when it all started. Probably like in high school, like my freshman year of high school is kind of when I got into social. I mean, I didn't have a phone until like 7th grade. So, and I had a BlackBerry. So like, I don't even think I knew what social media was until I got to high school. But my parents, up to this day, still keep a very good eye on what I'm posting. My parents are a little crazy, but I love them so much. But they they actually are logged into my Facebook, and they will call me if I post something that is not probably what I should be posting or may not be worded just right. So, and I'm at first it can be very frustrating from an athlete perspective, and just from a teenage girl. I mean, I was like, why are you monitoring me so much? But now looking back, I'm so grateful that they really helped me with that aspect, because when I got to college, it did kind of become a job. I mean, I wasn't just the featured twirler, I was an ambassador for the University of Arkansas. So I had to be very strategic about what I was posting. But yeah, to answer your question, they do hold a very strict grip on.
And so Savannah, you didn't have a Finsta? You don't have a fake Instagram?
Ugh.
No, I can barely keep
Oh my God.
Okay, Carissa.
So I don't think, I'm a little bit older than Savannah. So when I came around, Facebook had just really become popular. And so Instagram wasn't the thing yet. So I think that parents definitely have a bigger challenge now. I mean, I just actually scrolled back to my Instagram and my first post was of batons. So it was just like my batons, and it says World Championships T-minus 78 days. I mean, you can see how I used it from the start. But I had a life lesson very early on, with Halloween, and I was in college and I was a freshman, and my dad squashed that real quick. And I learned.
But how did Dad know?
Because of, like you could plug the old SIM card into the computer and then all the pictures would pop up, and that's what happened. And yeah. Okay, long story short, my mom took me to get a Halloween costume after practice at FSU, and then I had on tights, and then when I didn't wear the tights with the Halloween costume, didn't cover as much as the booty as we thought it did, and then there were just, the pictures didn't come out the best from it, and then, but I didn't post any of them. But I think that parents definitely have a harder time nowadays. Like, I'm not a big fan of Snapchat. I think that that's a very scary place, and having my own child, like, I don't want him to have a Snapchat, and I don't even want to navigate those things. But I feel like I'm going to try with JD to introduce him to platforms that I know better and monitor them and slower and kind of take it from there. But there are certain things that I know, like Snapchat, I think is a scary place, and I think it's extremely shady in some aspects. So I just learned early. I had really strong values and strong parents, and I think that that's happened with Savannah as well. And I think that that's definitely helped me be able to navigate social media in a positive light.
Well, I'm going to tell all the athletes on here too, everyone is willing to rat you out in a heartbeat. I mean, If I don't find it on you on social media, someone's going to tell me.
Or screenshot it.
Send me a screenshot. Right? People will send you screenshots every day of the week or say,
it doesn't matter if it's up for 5 seconds.
Right. I literally have strangers reach out to me and go, Kyle, I don't know if you know me, but have you seen this? And will send me whatever is up there. So people will tell on you in a heartbeat. Okay. Kelly, what's Jordan's feel and your feel about Snapchat?
Actually, she loves it, and she is coming out soon as part of the Snapchat forum. She gets paid a lot of money from Snapchat. I think the other panelists on this forum are, I want to say Jordan Fisher and, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank.
So do you see Snapchat trying to police anything as far as the dark areas of it?
No, I don't see that, only because I know that Jordan's not participating in any of that.
Okay.
She works for Facebook. She works for Instagram. She is actually a consultant for Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard. I mean, I know that they're trying to crack down on, policing and, keeping things right.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I don't see them policing that.
Mm-hmm.
I do see TikTok, in my experience, has been policing more.
Oh,
because did you guys see all that racist stuff that was going on TikTok lately? Super racist stuff about, I don't even want to say it.
Okay.
But they finally took the hashtag down. So I think TikTok at this point is more controlling than Snapchat.
Okay.
Because you can't delete. I mean, you can delete your TikToks. I mean,
Snapchat.
You can delete Snapchats. I mean, they just go away.
Yeah.
So
Shaylee, tell me about now. Do you have parents that try to reach out to you to try to promote their children, and what is your feeling about that?
Yeah, there's definitely, accounts that you can tell, like the 6-year-old doesn't really have an Instagram and stuff, and their parents, or they'll send content, or sometimes, people get semi-aggressive sometimes when they're trying to get content posted on Only Twirlers and feel like just because they sent something that they should get it posted. So I think it's just staying true to your brand most of the time. If it's something that doesn't fit the platform, if it's something that doesn't showcase twirling in the best light, it's not something that's necessarily going to get posted. So it's an interesting balance for sure between trying to find the organic content that relates to the masses versus when stuff is too curated and too perfect, it's not what's appealing because it's not organic. So it's finding that line between, you know, a good representation of the brand and being authentic to whoever the person is that's posting.
Right, because I've seen when there's some things coming out that look like they're commercial ads versus exactly, your phrase was exactly right about organic. Like there's got to be that nice, you know, when you watch, of course my examples are Jordan's Instagram posts, and you watch the video evolve and it's about a real life experience that's just been presented in a way that makes it professional but not commercial advertisement oriented. Who else has a question? Anybody raise your hand here? Okay, Emma.
I have a question for any of the college twirlers. Do you have any advice for an incoming college twirler with using social media to promote the university?
Make it like do things that look like they're authentic to you and not like posting what you think other people want to see. You can tell when things are too perfected and they're too posed and things like that. If you go and visit a football game and you have a great time, post a picture of you having a great time, but don't just repost the school's logo and tag everyone that you think should be tagged in it because you think that's what you're supposed to do. It's that balance between representing yourself well and not trying.
And when it tries to copy what other people have done instead of being something original. Savannah, what's your feeling on that?
Yeah, so I definitely agree with everything that she just said. Being true to who you are, I think that's the best part of social media is you're getting to show everybody the coolest part about you, and you're getting to have this amazing experience that is so indescribable. Like you just have to be there in that moment to describe what it feels like to field. And so just like she said, being authentic with your posts. I mean, there's a game where I completely fell and I posted a picture of it, but I made it myself. I mean, that's something that I would do, and it was a cute picture. And so it's finding those little things of what she was saying, like not everyone wants to see the Razorback logo or the hog call every single time I post a video or a picture. So it's finding those cool moments while you're at a game, or maybe it's a performance, or maybe it's some other event that you're having to perform at, and using that and showing different sides of yourself while you're at the university.
So do you see a difference, Kelly and Carissa? Because Carissa, you see it in the guard world too. Do you see a difference in authenticity between posting something to get likes versus posting something that is just material and content of what you do? Kelly.
You know what? We fall into that every day because there's so many people out there on TikTok, or mainly TikTok and Instagram, that portray them as something that they're not, because they're trying to be someone that they're not, right?
In the goal of getting likes?
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm gonna get TikTok famous. So they do the most absurd, out of character things, and they become famous. But yeah, you know what? At the end of the day, they have zero freaking talent.
And it'll be short-lived. And
yeah, 100%, 100%. And you know what? I'm like, Jordan, we know she can dance. We know she can sing. We know she can act. We know she can model. You know, she can do all those things. But then when this little person comes out of, you know, I don't know, Boise, Idaho, and, you know, becomes...
We're not trashing on Boise, but go ahead.
I know. I love Boise. I've never been, but I heard they got great potatoes. But, you know, like, as long as you're, like, being true to yourself and not trying to skip steps to get ahead of the game, and everything that you post is organic, then I think that you have a real future. Like, don't post things just for the here and now and to get a quick, million followers.
Okay.
Stay true to yourself, stay on your game plan, and don't swerve for anybody.
Okay.
Chickens don't swerve. What's that from?
Okay. So Carissa, what about between the twirling and the guard world and the content? Like, I think about who I like to follow and who you like to follow. And so what makes that authentic and not just, can you tell the people that are just putting stuff up for likes?
Yeah, I can. I really see it more, I guess, through my explore page. You can quickly pick out something that's, I put this up here just to try to get more people to follow me. I can think of a couple kind of influencers in the color guard aspect that some have just, you can just see the purpose with them. And I think you start to see that more, honestly, when you follow them for the long haul and the content that they put out continuously. Like, I know someone who I see them work with a lot of people, but also they give away a lot of content to the, not give away, but they continue to grow their following because they give lessons, but they also give lessons. They give little snippets as they go, and it's that's how they're growing, is because they give a little bit and then they get that interest, and it's not just come like this because I just lit my rifle on fire.
Well, I think it's probably like anything, like what we do with twirling is if you started and somebody wanted to do a triple illusion because they wanted to do a triple, they might throw it and be able to crank it out there, but the foundation to make it long lasting and survivable within the context of an entire program is not going to be there. So, maybe that's too much analysis for this, but it's like anything in life. You've got to lay the foundation and the groundwork, otherwise the house will come down. So if you want to just put a couple things out there for fun, but if your end goal is likes and you're skipping the steps to get there, it's probably not going to work for you. And, I'm not a master of social media. That's why I have you guys here tonight, so we can talk about it and something people can learn things along the way. But I think the ultimate goal, especially when doing this little quarantine series of Twirl Talks, it's been able to talk about some subjects that we haven't been able to have a forum to talk about, but it's about how to grow what we love. And there's so many talented people doing so many amazing things that I think we all can grow the universe if we all understand what we're dealing with and what we're doing. And, sometimes we don't know the animal we have. We've got this huge history of this sport. And, even back to majorettes and things like that, everything is valuable and everything has its place in the foundation. But how do we take the brand to the next place? And how do we keep our athletes safe? How do we keep our athletes doing what they want to do and playing and having fun in the social media world, but yet being responsible? Okay, does anyone else have another question? All right. So tell me, Kelly, you and I are of the same generation that we would have friends that don't understand it. When I have people call Jordan not understanding her word, I'm going to get to you guys. So think about it, Shaylee, Savannah, and Carissa. But what would you tell the adult who scoffs at the selfie generation? That just sees kids taking selfies and kind of scoffs at what they're doing. What would you say, Kelly?
Well, I have that.
Oh, yeah.
I 100% have that. We're pretty much not many people in my family here in Michigan, and that includes brothers, sister, grandmas, whatever. You know what? I have to let it go in one ear and out the other, because it's not going to change our path, but it's always in the back of my head. I'm very careful not to share certain things, especially on my Facebook that she posts on her Instagram, just because I want to respect their opinions. So
Okay.
I'm pretty careful about what I share on Instagram, or I mean on Facebook, because right now I'm in a position where I don't know what my life is, and you know, I'm back here in Michigan due to unfortunate circumstances, but I'm just really careful to share some of those things that are relevant to her but not to them. So it's hard. I mean, it's a different generation, and they don't understand, you know.
Yep. And so Shaylee, what do you say? Now, this is your business. This is your brand. This is your business. And what do you say to people that scoff at this social media selfie generation?
Yeah, I think it's being able to just kind of understand, like for me on my personal platforms, I work in collegiate athletics in my real life, and having an active Twitter and an active Instagram is part of the networking side of working in collegiate athletics. So that is kind of my why behind using those platforms. And so I think when you explain that to people who don't, using only twirlers often helps too, because you can see the tangible things that have come from growing a platform on social media and acquiring an audience. You know, when you can explain your impressions and things like that, the eyeballs that get to your posts, I think it helps people who don't understand the reach of social media be able to comprehend.
Right. Carissa, same thing. What do you do with a generation that doesn't understand it?
I think just like Shaylee said, I think it's just important to talk about the positives that can come from it. And there are so many positives. And then as far as the negatives, it's learning from mistakes, and then learning how to manage those things, and how to teach the responsible way of using the different platforms. But I've personally had more positives come from using the platforms. And I think when you can share with people how, you know, I've taught Zoom classes in Ireland simply because of my Instagram. I've gotten a student from Canada simply because of my Instagram. I've been asked to go teach, you know, I can't even tell you on two hands how many places I've been asked to teach just because of my Instagram. And so I think that alone speaks volumes about its ability to connect people if you put the right image and the right message about yourself out there. And I just think the biggest thing is just learning how to use it responsibly. And like what we talked about earlier, just, you know, if you ever have a question about if you should post something, then ask yourself those honest questions of, would I want my grandma to see this? Would I want my lawyer, if I had one, to see this? Would I, you know, I think, but you can ask those questions very quickly, and just remember that no post is worth, it's error on the side of caution, just like Shaylee said. So I think that if you can explain, you know, that little bubble of it, I think I found it's pretty easy to get people on the side of liking it as opposed to not liking it.
Yep. Well, my little circle always says, what would Kyle say? So Savannah, let me grab Savannah. So Savannah, as far as the whole generation, I mean, you're part of the first generation that has degrees and jobs in social media. So tell us, like, how do you convey the importance and significance of it to the next generation above?
Yeah, I mean, never thought that I would have an internship in social media whatsoever. When I started college, that was not even a thought in my head. And I've had friends and family members who are like, oh, you're going to go into social media? Like, that's what you're going to, and it's just explaining how this is literally the future of not just our generation, but generations to come. And also, for me, more specifically, news in general is now all digital media and social media. So it's teaching, like my grandmother, now she has a Facebook and an Instagram. So they are willing to learn. There are going to be people who say, no, I don't want to learn, or I don't like social media whatsoever, but there are going to be people. And so it's taking the time to really explain the importance of how effective, just like Carissa was saying, how effective this new generation of digital media and social media is going to affect our future. And then once they realize that, they're kind of going to take that time to really learn how to use it. And it's definitely become a great tool. I mean, there's so many people that I've gotten to communicate with who, when I was 12 years old, I had friends all over the world and I never got to talk to them. And so now this is a perfect way to not only communicate with people from around the world, but family members across the nation, and so many others. So just like everyone else has said, just taking the time to really explain it and hoping that they understand how big this really is.
Well, and I don't ever want people to get too overcome with any negativity. And I think that sometimes some of the older generation only hears the negative things instead of seeing the way our world is brought together. And the biggest gift to us as twirlers has been YouTube and the ability to connect everyone. And so when you see that my entire generation of all of my students is collected in one group, and that would have never happened. And the ability for today's twirlers to be shown to yesterday's twirlers. You know, when you think about how hard that would have been, that somebody would come to nationals 25 years after they were at nationals before, they would be shocked at what's happening. And now instead they can go, yeah, I was a former twirler, and they're showing some of these things out there. So I think that it's such a positive thing, but it's also its own animal. And I think it's not always understood. And that's why we came together tonight, so that we could kind of debunk some of the myths, but be able to talk about some of the things and some of the possibilities with it. And does anybody have any final question? All right, then I'm just so grateful to have this. Oh, Kelly, let me see. Go ahead.
Well, I don't have a question, but I actually just want to say that Katie looks a lot like Jordan.
Okay.
And Carissa, I absolutely 100% admire you. I don't know all of you, but Tiffany, I was at your last competition.
Well, that's Michelle there, but
No,
is Tiffany there too?
Oh,
Oh,
Tiffany's
good.
there.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I was at your last competition. Where was it? It was off the beaten path.
Charlotte, but it had a dome.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it was.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I was there, and I thought it was fabulous.
Oh, thank you.
No.
I just came, just to see, what was up, and I was there watching one of Kyle's students, and it was weird. It was so weird being there after all those years. I haven't been to a competition in 15 years. So
Well,
really
and I
cool.
think that's what we need. We need to follow the lead of the people who have navigated this world properly and who are figuring it out as a job or as the successful people in it. So I think the hard part is the kids seeing that and seeing the short term and not understanding the long term. And so I hope that some of this has been helpful to people tonight. I know, I just get so excited every Tuesday because I think every subject's better than the next. And I just love having this group of people come together to be able to talk about these things. So I would love to be able to keep it going. And as we get more subjects, and we don't want quarantine to last forever, but this has been, one of the, no, we're all done. But there have been a lot of positives that have come out of it. Okay.
Kyle.
Yes, Anne-Marie.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, when you're closing out, and you just hit it, as a coach that has a lot of beginner kids, I appreciate the stuff that Carissa and Savannah and Shaylee, all of the things that everybody has put out there. And I know what Kelly was saying about putting out the best. And I think we have a lot of the best, and all of the things that everybody's been doing in the quarantine. That has been what has kept my beginner kids going and putting it out there between all of the platforms, USTA, everybody that's put all the stuff out. So I just wanted to say that's the positive of social media. And I know we're trying to put out the best and for the whole world, but right now that's the best for my baton kids. So that's another aspect of it that I know we didn't really hit. We were talking about the whole internet. I'm looking at just my kids. So I just wanted to say I appreciate it very much.
And I think that it's been such an opportunity. And I think it's been important for the kids to hear other voices and to see some other samples of things and to see some of that. And I think that probably next week is actually about becoming a coach or a judge and about ethics and the part of that, and how to use some of this stuff. So we're going to wrap up pretty shortly. Kelly's got one thing. What?
To Shaylee and Anne Marie, like, I mean no absolute disrespect for you and towards you at all. Like, keep doing what you're doing. But I just know that the ultimate goal is obviously the Olympics. It's been that way for 100 years. So keep doing what you're doing, and don't think that posting a beginner is like, you know, not within the guidelines of us trying to get to the Olympics. You know, don't ever think that. But I just think that the ultimate goal obviously is the Olympics, and we really have to show the world what these elite kids are capable of, you know, at some point. And not the silver guy at the parade.
Well, and I think it's curating even what every level's doing. So when you're putting something out there, put something that's worthy of being viewed a million times, you know, from a credibility and standpoint of your athletes. You know, if it's one of Carissa's students, if it's one of Savannah's kids that she's worked with or knows, or one of Shaylee's, you know, customers and things like that. Is it something that we would all be so proud to see 100,000 times? So I think that's what do you want to see 100,000 times? And that would be a worthy goal.
I
So
just want you to know I'm cracking up because I'm not putting any videos of me or my kids out. I'll leave it with you guys. So that's why I'm laughing, not doing it. So thank
you so much, and keep doing great things. All right, keep encouraging each other. And I think if anything in these past couple months, it's been the encouragement of the sport, the encouragement of each other, and the lifting up of each other. And I think we've kind of needed each other. I've needed these Tuesdays at least. So thank you, everyone. This will be recorded and posted. Have a great night.
This is for you.
Thanks, love. Bye-bye.
Bye.